So simple tutorial.
यदि आपके अंगूठे में दर्द है, यदि आपको लाइक, शेयर या सब्सक्राइब करने में कष्ट होता है, तो मान्यवर ये वीडियो आपके लिए नहीं है। आपसे विनम्र निवेदन है कि आप इसे छोड़कर जा सकते हैं।
Good morning students, welcome to SST So Simple Tutorial. This is Vijay Singh, your social science teacher for grade 9 and 10. In the previous class we had discussed poverty through the examples of Ram Saran and Lakha Singh. We had discussed the different dimensions of poverty. We had discussed social exclusion and vulnerability used by social scientists nowadays to analyze poverty. Our topic for today is poverty line. Students, whenever we talk about measuring poverty, we talk about poverty line. If there is no poverty line, there is no APL, there is no BPL. To understand poverty line, imagine that the results of your annual exams are published today and you find that 10 students did not get promotion because they failed in 3 subjects. So the question that arises now is that what is the criteria to consider someone pass? The students who score 33% of marks or more in a subject is considered pass. Those who score less than 33% marks are considered fail. So this 33% line decides pass or fail. In the same manner, we have the poverty line. Poverty line is a line that divides the population of a country into poor or non-poor. As simple as that. Accordingly, people who fall below this line are considered poor and those who lie above the line are called non-poor. The method that is commonly used to measure poverty is based on the income or consumption levels. A person is considered poor if his or her income or consumption level falls below a given minimum level necessary to fulfill the basic needs. Now students, what is necessary to satisfy the basic needs is different for different countries. All countries do not have the same level of economic development. Does US, Iran or Bangladesh have the same level of development? No, their cost of living varies and so the standard of living of people. See, a poverty line in a wealthy nation has to account for a higher cost of living and a more comprehensive set of basic needs compared to a less affluent country. Understood? Besides, political decisions, budget constraints, and available resources can also influence how a country sets its poverty line. So we can say that each country sets its poverty line to address the unique circumstances and needs of its population. That is why different countries have different poverty lines. Okay, now how to determine poverty line in India? In India, the method used to determine the poverty line is monthly per capita expenditure method. In this method, the money value of the minimum calorie intake is calculated. I am repeating, in this method, the money value of the minimum calorie intake is calculated. The food items such as cereals, pulses, vegetables, milk, oil, sugar, etc., all that we eat together provide these calories. In rural areas, the accepted average calorie requirement in India is 2400 calories per person per day, whereas in urban areas, the accepted average calorie requirement is 2100 calories per person per day. In rural areas, the calorie requirement is kept more because people living in rural areas engage themselves in more physical work. Okay. Now, using the monthly per capita expenditure method for buying these calorie requirements, the Planning Commission has worked out the poverty line for the year 2011-12 at rupees 816 per month for rural areas and rupees 1000 per month for urban areas. This amount students, however, is revised periodically taking into consideration the rise in prices. Did you notice one thing? That despite less calorie requirements, the amount for urban areas has been kept higher. What do you think should be the reason? Because essential commodities are cheaper in rural areas than in urban areas. Now you do a sum. There is a family of 5 members in rural areas that earns less than 4080 rupees a month. Now calculate and tell me, where do they lie? Above the poverty line or below? In rural areas, the amount fixed is rupees 816 per person per month. So for 5 person, it would be 816 multiplied by 5, that is rupees 4080. Since their earnings is less than 4080, so that family will be considered below the poverty line. Now consider a similar family of 5 members in an urban area. Calculate and tell me how much money they would need to meet their basic requirements. Write this in the comment section below. At this point of time, some of you may be thinking, who finds out what should be the poverty line? Who does this much of calculations? Students, the calculation of poverty line is carried out by the NITI Ayog usually every 5 years based on the data collected by the National Sample Survey Organization, normally called NSSO. It is basically the NSSO which conducts the surveys to collect the data. So data collection is done by NSSO and calculation of poverty by NITI Ayog. NSSO comes under the Ministry of Statistics Program Implementation. Students, have you heard of World Bank? It is an international organization that aims to reduce poverty by offering assistance to middle income and low income countries. So when they want to compare countries, they use a uniform standard for the poverty line, and generally that is called international poverty line. This is a monetary threshold under which an individual is considered to be living in poverty. This is currently $1.9 per person per day. With this, let me stop here. Now you read your textbook. In the next class, when we meet, we will discuss poverty estimates. Till then, enjoy reading and have a nice time. Thank you.